Today we're counting down the top 5 dream sports cars every 40-plus guy wanted. And honestly, most car lovers got hooked by at least one of these. Drop your dream car in the comments and tell me if it made the list. Stick around to the end because I'll reveal the one I'd pick if I could only choose a single car from today's lineup, and yes, that choice hurts. Ready? Let's meet the legends. You remember the posters, right? Chrome wheels you couldn't afford, engines you could hear in your sleep, and price tags that felt like they were printed in another universe. Today, we're revisiting 5 icons every 40-plus guy in the US dreamed of, and we're comparing what they cost back then to what they'll run you now. Spoiler, one of them hasn't sprinted far past its original sticker, but the rest? Brace yourself. Quick ground rules before we jump in. These are US prices. Then means the original US MSRP for a representative model year. Now means typical market prices you'll actually see in 2025, which swing with mileage, originality, gearbox, and color. I'll flag the then versus now in each segment so you can feel the hit in real dollars. At number 5, the American Thunder without a safety net, Dodge Viper RT10. The Viper wasn't just a car, it was a dare side pipes that singed your calves, no traction control, no ABS, and a V10 that sounded like thunder learned to whistle. It didn't arrive to coddle you, it arrived to humble your right foot. Back then, first-year cars hit US showrooms with a base price in the low 50s. As the press cars rolled out and options crept in, media spec sheets commonly showed mid-50s windows. The official line when it launched in 1992, starting MSRP around $50,700. Today, early RT10s bounce between still surprisingly attainable and collector surprise, with decent miles condition examples trading in the 50K, 70K band and standout low-mile time capsules stretching higher. A recent 92 brought about 68.8K at auction. At number 4, the rotary that loves redline Mazda RX-7 featherweight body, twin turbos, a rotary that loved to spin where pistons fear to tread. The FD RX-7 was the elegant troublemaker, the one you swore you'd daily until you realized it begged for empty canyon mornings and late-night fuel stops. In 1993, the RX-7 undercut most rivals with a base price just over $33.6K in the US. Today, the market has matured. Stock, clean cars have real gravity. Expect mid-40s to low 50s for solid drivers, with special trims and excellent unmodified examples pulling higher. Good condition values around the 40K mark remain a realistic anchor. Rumors suggest the RX-7's fragile reputation comes mostly from mod-happy youth and neglected maintenance. The truth? Set up properly, the FD rewards like almost nothing else of its era. Light steering, tight packaging, and a soundtrack that turns every freeway on-ramp into a personal moment. If the RX-7 was the scalpel, the next car took that surgical confidence and added supercar composure you could drive every day. At number 3, the Ferrari wake-up call from Japan, the Acura NSX. You didn't dream about the NSX because it was the fastest. You dreamed about it because it made exotic feel achievable. Aluminum chassis, razor visibility, a Japanese understanding of reliability, and yes, Senna's fingerprints somewhere in the lore. When the NSX hit US dealers for 1991, the base price hovered around $60.6K, and early demand pushed real-world transactions over sticker. Fast forward to today, the NA1 Coupes market has settled into a confident stride. Typical sale benchmarks float in the mid-70s to mid-90s for honest, well-kept cars, with exceptional low-mile manuals stretching beyond. Reports from the era claim some dealers tacked on hefty markups and early buyers gladly paid. That buzz wasn't hype, it was validation. The first time many of us believed a supercar wouldn't punish us for wanting to use it like a car. But if the NSX was the everyday exotic, the next car was the last of its kind, and the market has never let it forget. At number 2, the Stuttgart Smooth Operator, Porsche 911 aka 993 Carrera. Last air-cooled. Say it slowly and watch the values refuse to blink. The 993 wears a shape you can sketch from memory. Frog eye headlights, tight hips, and that signature upright posture that somehow still looks fast just sitting at a curb. A 1995 Carrera Coupe carried an original MSRP of about $63,055. Today, manual Trans 993 Coupes sit on a notably higher plateau. Market benchmarks center around the high 80s for clean examples, with colors, miles, and options swinging it up or down. Part of the magic isn't spec sheet speed, it's texture. Cable clutch feel, air-cooled chatter, a steering wheel that talks through your fingers. That last of story is catnip for collectors. But for the rest of us, it's just the most timeless 911 to toss down a 2-lane on a cool morning. Still, there's one 90s legend that hijacked movie screens, dynos, and every backroad myth you've ever told your friends. At number 1, the aftermarket's favorite canvas, Toyota Supra Menkei 4 Twin Turbo. 2 words, 2J. The 2JZ GTE turned folklore into resale value. Built stout, tuned harder, and immortalized by a certain orange car on the big screen, the A80 Supra became the tuner Mount Rushmore face no one argues about. Back in 1994, the Supra Turbo's base price sat around $40,250 in the US, a number that felt steep until you saw how it ran. Now, even after a cooling from the peak mania, a clean US market turbo with the right gearbox sits squarely in serious money territory. Good condition values hover in the high 80s to low 90s, with very low-mile, unmodified 6 speeds routinely vaulting well into 6 figures at auction. The secret isn't just nostalgia, it's headroom. The car takes power like it was born waiting for it, and that's why 30 years on, it still owns cars and coffee without trying. Before we close, one more icon deserves a nod. The 80s poster that made you believe side strakes could be a personality trait. Bonus pick, the Miami Vice Time Machine. Ferrari Testarossa. Miami Nights, white suits. A flat 12 ticking after a late-run blast. The Testarossa wasn't just famous, it set the style code for an entire decade. In 1985, a base Testarossa started around $94,000, with prices rising sharply by the turn of the 90s. Today, good examples commonly live in the 140K, 170K lane, with outliers climbing higher for mileage, color, and history. Maintenance is part of the myth. Yes, they'll air engine out services, but the dream, still intact. The real math, then versus now, in your head. Part of what makes these numbers sting or thrill is context. In 1992, a Viper at YM 50K felt outrageous because the spec sheet promised a fight and the interior promised not much. Today, you can still slide into early RT10 ownership for around what it costs new depending on miles. Meanwhile, the RX-7's tidy 30-something sticker looks like a bargain from a distance until you realize clean FDs now command multiples of that figure. The NSX and 993 both started in the low 60s and have graduated to a steady upper-middle collector tier. And the Supra, it left its window sticker in the dust the moment the culture crowned it. Markets move, and not always rationally. The rule of thumb, originality, manual transmissions, low miles, and the right colors write the checks. Automatic RX-7, cheaper. Tiptronic 993, less heat. Modified Supra, depends who did it and why. Viper with delivery miles, buckle up for asking prices that aren't shy. Why these 5 hooked a generation? They weren't just fast. Each one rewired what fast meant. The Viper brought back the idea that danger could be fun, an American sledgehammer with the training wheels kicked into the sun. The RX-7 proved delicacy and drama could coexist. It was a whisper that ended in a shout. The NSX cracked the code, an exotic you didn't have to apologize for driving to work. The 993 sealed an era. The last air-cooled heartbeat still echoes in prices and parking lots. The Supra became the aftermarket's perfect canvas. The internet did the rest. And let's be honest, a lot of us couldn't swing any of them back then. That's why the now number matters. It isn't just economics, it's closure. Story time. The wallet versus the wall. Maybe your teenage brain did the math like this. If I save for 5 years, I can buy an RX-7 and still pay rent. Then the AC broke, then you met someone, then life happened. These cars never left though. They sat in the back of your mind, idling, while the rest of your world hit redline. Now you're older, smarter, and let's be real, pickier. You want the right color, the right gearbox, the right story. That's the best part of being 40 plus. You don't just want the dream, you want the right dream. The final question, who won the price war? The best then now shocker, Dodge Viper RT10. You can still buy early cars for roughly original MSRP money if you're not chasing museum mileage. The biggest glow up on regular honest cars, Toyota Supra Menkei 4 Turbo and Acura NSX Thai both comfortably trade above their original stickers, with top examples far beyond. The steadiest blue chip vibe, Porsche 993 Carrera. Last air-cooled isn't just a tagline, it's a floor jack undervalues. The cult favorite that finally gets its roses, Mazda RX-7 FD. Clean stock cars are the new unicorns. The 80s royalty still taxing your imagination. Ferrari Testarossa. The look never aged, the maintenance never blinked. Before we wrap, I'll tell you the one I'd take home. Choosing just one from this list hurts. Every single one is a dream garage slot. But if I had to choose just one, it's the NSX. Simple reason. I love classic Ferraris, and I love Japanese engineering. The NSX is the clean blend of both. Old Ferrari flavor, Japanese reliability, everyday supercar manners. At today's prices though, that dream keeps sliding farther away. Before you start shopping, 3 fast moves to keep the dream high and the risk low. 1. Get a pre-purchase inspection from a model specialist. A good PPI is cheaper than a bad head gasket. 2. Chase documentation, service records, paint meter readings, and provenance stories that make sense. 3. When in doubt, buy the car that makes you look back over your shoulder in the garage. That feeling is the only return that never depreciates. Conclusion: the poster's aged, you didn't. Not where it counts, the Viper still dares you, the RX-7 still whispers, the NSX still teaches grace, the 993 still defines timeless, and the Supra, well, the Supra still breaks the internet every time someone turns a key with the right badge on the gearbox. So, which one did you dream about the most, and do you want the sensible dream, or the one that makes you laugh at the receipt? If you haven't yet, drop your dream car in the comments. Tell me which one and why. Already lucky enough to drive it? Flex a little, and say what you love most. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the latest news and more videos like this. See you in the next one.